Most of us that have been in elected office are there because we want to make a difference. We want to accomplish things. We don't want to constantly be throwing up roadblocks. I think many of my friends would say, gosh, how much worse can it get? And then it just kept getting worse.
I think that was the impetus for me too, was what happened last August when so many of my moderate colleagues on the Republican side were defeated in the primary, an attack by their own party. And it became clear then that the only way that we were ever going to have thoughtful, common sense, moderate people setting public policy for this state was if we did something about it.
That the six of us have been working together for years on projects that we care about, on issues that we believe in, crossing across the aisle. Kansans are pretty common sense folks that think it's more important to do the right thing and to get something done than to stand on kind of phony dialogue about who's right and who's wrong. It felt pretty natural when Rochelle called and said, Sandy thinks we need to go to war. Do you want to go to war? And I said, absolutely.
Governor Brownback was quoted as saying, it's much different to govern in Kansas because it's easier to find consensus. Consensus is not eliminating everybody who disagrees with you. This is consensus.
Yeah.
You have people sitting around, we've all been friends, but we've all definitely been on the other side of each other in a partisan way. And yet look at this, it's quite remarkable.
We want to build on things that we care about, issues that have always been traditional, strong issues for Kansans.
We found issues that we knew were important, that the six of us could agree on and that we could talk to Kansas about, that we were concerned about.
This doesn't really have anything to do with partisan politics.
Right.
It has to do with finding solutions for all Kansans. What unites all of us is we care about Kansas, we care about our priorities with children and families, and we care about each other.
We love Kansas. We love our state. We want it to be there for everybody. We looked at the roadmap that the governor outlined when he took office, and when you look at where we're going today, we're going in the wrong direction. And it's just time to reroute the roadmap and to move us in a direction that we think will lead to prosperity for the state.
One of the things that the governor was saying that in his roadmap was to improve fourth grade reading scores. Well, you're sure not going to improve fourth grade reading scores when you keep pulling the rug out from under every poverty program that Kansas has out there.
I'm clearly concerned about the state taking its responsibility for funding our schools. I think that last year was passed a massive, irresponsible income tax cut that just wipes out our coffers. If we continue down the road to zero income taxes, we will take away about 46% of our state revenue.
We've always considered the Kansas tax system to be a three-legged stool, just like the old milk stool. And you have roughly property taxes, sales taxes, and income taxes in equilibrium, so your stool doesn't wobble. Then if times get hard, say recession, sales taxes will go down in a recession, but you'll have some stability in there. If you get rid of the income tax component, you lose the stability, you lose the income, and you're going to have to jack something else up higher than it needs to be, and the people who ought to be paying aren't.
And we make cuts that are so severe that our education, K-12, community college, technical education, and university education will suffer extremely.
I've talked to a lot of businesses who want to come to Kansas and had lots of conversations with people, and they want to talk about tax. They want to talk about tax incentives and things that are here. But taxes are about fifth on their list. They're going to look at schools, they're going to look at the quality of life, they're going to look at the availability of a literate and numerate workforce. And if they've got folks that can't do math and they can't read well, they're not coming. And actually, that's why we're in this. I mean, I need to be home playing with my grandchildren. Maybe the best thing I can do for my grandkids is to make sure they don't screw up our schools and our communities.
That is why you're doing it.
That's why I'm doing
I
it.
mean, all of our children are grown.
That's
I mean,
right.
I'm sitting here because I have a 5-year-old and a 3-year-old granddaughter.
Yeah.
And I want them to stay in Kansas and be educated here. We always felt like that balance of taxes was fair. None of us sitting here wants to tax people too much. We're all very fiscally conservative. It's a question of balance.
Rural health is an issue for all of us, not just I who live in the small town.
You know, the rural hospital is the center of health care for the community, not just sick care. You go when you're sick, you need the hospital there, but it provides the meals for Meals on Wheels in many of our communities. In some communities, it offers the exercise classes. It may have some physical therapy activities. It does immunizations. It can be the center of public health. So it really is it's as critical to a community as the police and fire protection, as schools. It's just one of those essential public services.
I also don't think that you can underplay the economic issues related to healthcare in our small communities. I mean, if we take away our schools and our hospitals, the communities dry up.
That's right.
And
Well,
they
it's
just
the
don't
two-
exist.
It's the two largest employers
Precisely.
in every community.
And you know, KU Med, of course, ranks almost in the top 10, I think, on primary care docs produced. And if we don't have hospitals and places for them to go, they will go out of state to other rural communities. So it is our job to make sure rural communities stay healthy, and both physically and economically.
Yeah, we missed an opportunity to do what was, I think, morally the correct thing to do, to help take care of folks who need healthcare services. And it wasn't a good economic decision either.
We recognize that it's going to be a tough road ahead, and I think we know that to make a difference, we're going to have to operate differently.
I'd be delighted if people know where to go when they want information.
Yeah.
If they have a question, if they're unsure, if they're hearing things that puzzle them, I'd like them to have a source, a valuable source. They don't have to agree. We might even find 2 or 3 points of one source, but it needs to be available to our citizens.
People turn to the internet for information, and by having this website out there, we will be able to post not only the things that we're emailing out, but much more in-depth kind of presentations. It's hard to have a conversation about tax in an email. This website can be a place where folks can go and research things and get the kind of information that they might never think to ask legislative research about.
But as long as you're an informed voter, that's what I think everybody here shares in common. We want everybody to understand the issues and understand the ramifications of these public policy changes in Kansas, not only for today, but for 10 years from now.
We're looking for people who believe in service. It's that old thing that all of us got involved for. I believe in service.
We need practical, honorable, coalition-building leaders in this state. Whatever title they have, whatever party they belong to, that is, I think, what we are all looking for, and that's what this group represents.
And the willingness to compromise, and that's what's been lost in the political discourse today, especially in Washington.
The success of moving Kansas forward is not dependent on any one single individual. I don't know how else to say it. This is a team effort because we cannot counteract that money. Democracy is hard. We'll have to earn this, and everybody has a role to play. And the first role we need is for everybody to be educated.
And that's the beauty of it being such a bipartisan mix of people from across the state. We all have our own constituencies, and we have the ripple is already occurring.
We hope.
You know, I have to laugh when I hear ideologues say, there's a dilution of standards in this country. If you're not a purist and you don't believe in this kind of ideology, you're not moral. And yet they're fond of quoting the founding fathers, who were the essence of compromise and coalition building that established this nation and made it what it was. This is the American way.